Welcome to the Strpd Club, the podcast that strips away the noise and dives deep into the real, raw conversations every man needs to share.
Okay, guys, and welcome to the Strp Club, the podcast where we strip away the layers and get real about life, manhood, and everything in between. I'm your host, still your host, Asa Seeley, and here we keep it raw, honest, and unfiltered. Each episode, I try to dive into stories, experiences, and conversations that challenge us men. They inspire us and remind us that, we brothers, we're not alone. So whether you're tuning in on your commute, wherever you are, in the gym, winding down at home, thank you for being here. All right. So let's get into it. Love, loss, and fatherhood. A man's emotional journey. That's the topic for today. And today's guest is a good friend, a fellow Trinidadian, and a man whose story, it cuts deep. Dennis Luyat. And I share a similar journey from the islands to the US on a soccer scholarship. But his path has been one of incredible emotional highs and heartbreaking lows. From love to loss, fatherhood to faith, and now the recent loss of his father. So this conversation is about what it really means to be a man who feels. That sounds contradictory, but yeah. So we just want to welcome Dennis. Dennis.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the Strp Club.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. So take me back to the beginning. What brought you to the US?
Well, just like everybody dreamed that time in the late 90s, a lot of our friends were starting to go away to school and doors open up and I wanted that opportunity too. So at that time it was like, let me go get an education, further education, higher education. I saw it as four years of coming and going back home, but 20 plus years later, I still remain in the US. But came to go play soccer at Barry University.
Big up Barry.
And I was a walk-on, actually.
But you've always been a walk-on, or you're a walk-on in Fatima too, no?
No, but I actually walk on more than you, eh? And if you want to go that deep, we could go that deep and I walk on more than you.
You did. I give it that.
But yeah, so I made it and enjoyed that journey with Barry and the experience, and ended up getting 3 degrees. And a lot of friends joked that I was a professional student, and some of those who joked about it actually became professional students too later on when they went back to school. But 3 degrees, sport management and MBA, dual degree in my master's, and undergrad was e-commerce, which is internet marketing and
pretty smart guy.
I try.
No, you're a pretty smart guy, man. You had to get the flowers where flowers are due, How was that transition for you, leaving Trinidad, coming up to the US?
Well, fortunately enough, when I was young, my dad worked for, I would call it BWI, now known as Caribbean Airlines, right? But BWIA, right?
Now it's known as CAL. I don't know. With this new government, all kind of thing going on.
So I going back to the old school days, BWI, right? And so I traveled a lot based on that. And the transition wasn't hard when it came to knowing what America was and stuff like that. But it was hard because you left your home. Trinidad, some my college coach always joked that we came from the same block, right? Everybody kind of knew everybody, but so that was the hardest part, coming on your own in this dorm room, nothing on the walls.
It was bare, right?
It is bare, right? A bed in a corner. You felt like you was in a jail cell. In a way,
correct,
right? Because it's not as nice as these college campuses now.
Yeah, you see these campuses.
Well, I work in college industry for over 10 years after I left school, so I see what these kids were coming with and had, and I was like, wow, I had nothing. I didn't have
more militant type of setting that we were in.
Yeah, I remember I had no car.
Yeah,
and I used to hang out in the game room and say, as I hear a man on a Sunday say, I go in McDonald's, and back then it was 10 cent cheeseburgers or whatever. So I was like, hey.
30 cents on Sunday.
Hey, I could come.
Remember buying bag of 40 because 3 of us in one dorm and everybody eating that like
So that I tell kids that now, my kids, and they watching me like I crazy.
foreign.
Right?
Like, what are you
But
talking about, Dad?
That transition, the food, that kind of stuff was a little tough, but I always had a mental strength about me, I believe, from when I was young. If I put my mind to something, I could do it.
Yeah.
So I was homesick, yeah. I remember I wanted to go home
Yeah.
before even school start, but I was encouraged to stay. And I'm happy I stayed.
Yeah.
So
how does playing college soccer, how did that shape who you are?
well, you get the experience. I mean, I played football all my life, soccer in America, growing up. But coming here now, you had the opportunity to meet, and Barry was a very diverse, or is a very diverse university, right? So I had teammates from all over the world, different cultures. I met friends from all over the country, the world again. And when I went to work my professional job in Connecticut, my coworkers used to say, "Where you going?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, St. Louis, Missouri, or Vegas, or wherever." And they'd be like, "But how you affording to stay in all these places?" I was like, "Well, all I need is a plane ticket." I built all these relationships with people over my time at Barry, and they opened their homes to me to come and hang out. So I took advantage of that to see more. I've been to like over, I think it's 41 states out of 50.
Nice.
And there's some Americans that didn't leave their home state.
Correct.
So I think that's cool and stuff like that. And I always like to travel.
Yeah.
So.
But you've always been a personable individual.
Yeah.
So I could see you making a lot of friends and ending up in people's houses and, getting to appreciate different cultures because, that's one thing coming from Trinidad over here is our culture shock.
Yeah.
Right. And you have taken culture shock to another level going into other parts of the U.S. because Florida is one thing. Going into some other states, it's a culture shock there too because they're quite different. So
and some people don't even know Trinidad exists.
Yeah.
Right. So you get the opportunity to share.
So too.
Yeah, sometimes.
See, you have all of these degrees and Trinidadian ambassador. So you're well educated. Pretty good at soccer, what we would call football. And you have done a lot in the US. But part of your journey, you've entered into the love space.
Yeah.
I want to touch on your relationship and how did you find your wife? What was that experience like?
Well, that was a quick experience.
Tell me, you're like one of my previous interviewees.
Saw that interview,
and he was online. So
he claimed somebody, and I feel he hint was thrown at me. I don't really remember it, but I would take the hit. I wasn't on farmers.com, right? Farmersonly.com over Bedouin, right? But on seriousness now, I did meet my wife online too. eHarmony.
Okay.
And funny enough, when I was working, I actually interacted with the guy who came up with eHarmony, but he didn't really realize that I was part of eHarmony's
clientele,
right? And success story, right? But we met, I remember it was 2013. We connected. I sent a couple messages. eHarmony's a little bit deeper, right?
Yeah.
So you have to go through all these different steps before you could actually open communication. And during that point, they could cut it off. So we get through far, and I send a little message, and I find, but there's lady not writing me back.
Yeah.
And then about a week later, she wrote back, and I was encouraged by her sister. Right.
Very nice.
And she said, "What do you have to lose?" So we met. And so in March, I for some reason, the date March 6th stuck in my head was the first time we actually met in person.
Yeah.
And then 2.5 months later, we got married.
So it was like, it had to be like love at first sight then. Like y'all clicked
we
well.
clicked and my wife had a son, or has a son from a previous marriage.
Okay.
And he was 4 at the time. And I remember we were FaceTiming. And he wanted to know who mommy FaceTiming with. But I'm like, I didn't even really meet her properly yet.
Correct.
And I think we had met already, but not long, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, suppose this don't work out. I don't want this kid to think this man come in your life, and the man, obviously,
Left.
her and her husband, ex-husband, divorced, and his dad and stuff like that. So I was conscious of that. So I remember leaving the phone down on the table, and he seen the ceiling, and he said, "But mommy, you're not talking to anybody." And I just wanted to make sure it was right before I met him, you know. And then but we got married pretty quick. No, you know, it had some rumors going around that I was doing it for my green card. But, you know, almost 13 years later, we're still together, and obviously you're going to some of our story later on. But that's how we met, and I remember telling people, hey, you know, get married this Friday. I told people the Monday on the beach outside of the Swimming Hall of Fame in Fort Lauderdale, and I saw people reading the message on Facebook Messenger, and they not answered this group. And then people thought we were joking and stuff like that. And then I found out they didn't have Facebook Live then. So I found out how to stream the wedding. And I planted a seed with a friend named Austin up in the New England area where I used to be. I was like, hey, this working? He said, yes. He's like, well, what's this about? I said, well, I get married tomorrow. He said, what? And I said, well, 12 o'clock, and I'll post something on Facebook with the link, but just make sure our crew know now. Because obviously in the middle of work day, well, apparently I shut down a move out at Quinnipiac where I used to work. All these kids who I used to supervise wanted to watch it on a live stream, and they had it up around TVs.
Yeah, that's big. That's big news.
It was funny, and that's before Facebook Live. So, but it was funny. It was small, 30 people.
So like you had a whole like reality.
Yeah, it was like a reality TV, but better.
Wedding. Well, that's a cool success story for eHarmony.
Yeah.
And to know that you're still happily married. Yeah. You know, over a decade has passed. We know you didn't do it for your green card. So,
yeah, exactly right.
And if you did, you killed two birds with one stone.
Right.
Now you mentioned that that your wife had a son from previously, and you now came into a relationship as a man, and you chose to take on that father role,
right?
Emotionally, spiritually. You stepped in and you stepped up. What did that mean to you?
Well, you know, it was a little bit nervy, right, coming into this kid's life. Not only that, but his dad's still in his life. So obviously, as a man, a next man coming in life, you don't know what they're thinking. Obviously, there's challenges with that, right? And there were challenges with that. You know, my wife Joni and Elijah moved from West Palm area down to Miami because that's where I was working, and had some a house provided with job and stuff, so I couldn't move that way, right? And so there was challenges where you're going outside of the mileage rate, when you're divorced, right? And so there was some questions about challenges, but I had a friend of mine who was an attorney for a family step in and just sent a letter saying, listen, it's for the better of the child. He has a house, all this stuff, whatever the case might be. And, you know, that.
So you were living in a different county.
Yeah.
So you hadn't relocated. You were still by Barry.
Yeah, I was still in Miami.
And you hadn't relocated to West Palm Beach.
No, I relocated like 3 years later after we got married. Yeah.
Okay.
So we moved Joni and Elijah down, and so on. So again, going into that role now as a becoming a stepdad, right? Like, you know me, I was happy-go-lucky, I out, I partying, whatever, and then all of a sudden, boom, 2.5 months, the lion get tamed, so to speak, right? And you know, have a responsibility and to bring up this child as well, and that's something I took deep down seriously.
That obviously you love Elijah.
Yeah, and as I treat him like my son, people will never know unless we said something.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Well, now they know.
Now they know.
Now they know.
All right, and we okay with that.
And what does it mean to love and guide a child that is not biologically or even legally yours, so to speak?
I mean, it's human, right? I think whether, let's take your son Jackson and so on, right? If I come across his path and I see he is in a way of doing something wrong or he doing something great, I must step up as an adult, as a human, to encourage that child, because the children are our future, as we say, right? And the only way we could help keep them on the right path is by outside influences. So whether he's my child or not my child, or
Insignificant.
to me it's insignificant, right? My role as an adult is to help set the example.
Okay.
Right. And I do that with the coaching I do. I had a young girl yesterday. I pulled her aside in front of mom and I told her straight up, I don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
When I first saw you, I thought it's going to be rough, but she has become the most improved player.
Nice.
And I think it's important to, an old coach friend of mine would say, give these kids the royal robe, whether they're yours or not. Give them the royal robe so they keep wanting to grow and be a better person.
Well, I hope people that are listening to this episode take a lot from it, because you seem to be very selfless in your approach, especially to kids.
Yeah.
So, and they need that because it's missing in society today. So I applaud you for that.
Yes.
All right. Now you have you came into a situation, got married, you're playing stepdad to a young kid,
right?
And you've gotten a chance now to have your own,
right?
Touchy subject, but your first go around at having kids, because you have a beautiful young daughter now,
right?
You experienced loss at a stillbirth.
No, it wasn't a stillbirth. So Joni couldn't have kids, right? And so we had to do IVF, right? And
which is a grueling process on its own.
It's
right?
it's twisting process, know, and so on. And it's costly as well, right? And so it's just not something that insurance covers, as well too. So people who have to do this and wants to be a parent of their biological kids and stuff, has to go through this, right? And so we went through the IVF, and obviously with IVF, they say you have a risk of multiples, right? So remember going through it and exciting journey and stuff like that. And when time to see if it was successful, doctors say, you have twins.
Wow.
So all right, so I laugh, right? Because the running joke now with my family was, growing up, I dated
You dated twins?
Twins. And not only just one girl was a twin, the next one later on was a twin too. So now I have.
Well, you mean separate twins?
Not
the one of the twin. Not the two.
Two different girls, two different sisters, right? And so that was a big running joke amongst my friends and my family and thing. And now you have been twins. So now I'm like, is it girls or boys?
There you go. And it was boys, no?
It was boys, right? And so I had a friend from Barry. She played basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And when I told her, she was a high-risk doctor for pregnancies and stuff, right? And we had reconnected in Connecticut. And she's like, oh, it's exciting. But with it come risk, or just be on top of it. And then, you didn't take it on. And when we went for ours, it was the 18-week scan.
Mm-hmm.
Joni's stomach was real big and stuff. And we just saying it's twins, right? So it was always a scan. And then they came to tell us, there's a problem. And the problem was something called twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, which only happens in identical twins. And for short, TTTS, right? And we're like, okay, what does that mean? So basically, identical twins share the same placenta. And one twin is getting more of the amniotic fluid than the other, right? So taking away that nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
And they said to us, here's the options: terminate the pregnancy, terminate the one twin that not getting enough fluids, or there's some other alternatives you can do to try to balance it off, which is like laser. I can't say the word, I can't remember the word properly, but basically they go in and they use laser to seal off some of the, don't know the right terminology, I can't remember, but fluid lines from one baby to the next to try and balance it off, basically, right? And we're like, well, termination is not an option. That's faith, that's our belief, that's like doing an abortion.
Yeah.
Right? And so we start looking up procedures or whatever the case might be. And there's a foundation that we came across called the Twin-to-Twin Transfusion Syndrome Foundation, right? Run by a solo lady. She does it all on her own. She went through this many, many years ago. She did lose one of the twins, but one survived. So we went to Tampa for scans and stuff like that. And when we went, it was so that news came in like October, right? So then in November we found this place to go to, right? And this guy in this doctor in Tampa General Hospital, they help with that laser ablation, if I say any word right, process.
Mm-hmm.
So when we went, we then found out the placenta, how it was positioned, made it more difficult to them to
Do the laser process.
a lot of the laser.
Yeah.
So they got some done, but not enough,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they said, well, that's the most we could do.
Yeah.
So cool. So we came back, and then I think we went back a second time, and my memory
Mm-hmm.
clouded at this
Yeah.
time, right? But went back a second time. I remember they said they can't do it again because Junior already started contracting, and this is like less than 6 months into the pregnancy.
Mm.
So we're like, what the heck
Yeah.
going on, right? So what they did was an amniotic reduction where, I mean, to me, power to women, the stuff they go to bring kids into this world, man, it's just wild,
Yeah.
right?
But they built for it, huh?
Yeah. So there was like a needle this long, I'm not exaggerating, that went into her stomach, and they're just pulling out fluids. And they took out, I probably still have a picture of it, maybe 3-4 liters of fluid to try and balance stuff, right? And it's like we couldn't go back and do another laser process because we already started contracting. So we came back when it was close to Thanksgiving. And then they said the best thing to do after going for Thanksgiving, and then if nothing happens, come back and just become bedridden.
Yeah. For the rest of the
and see how long we can keep them in the womb until, right? So my parents were visiting from Trinidad, I remember that. And we had Thanksgiving at my in-laws, and a friend reached out because we explained to people, because everybody excited about the pregnancy, and the problem with social media is that everybody just only shows the good,
Yeah.
So when we wrote about what was happening, a lot of people reached out, and that was nice and stuff. So this guy was at Barry with reached out. He lived in the Tampa area. He's like, hey, if you want a place to stay, Ravi and his wife Alicia. It's like, okay, well, we could come up the night before. So we went up. So a nice dinner and everything, and we relaxing and made us real comfortable in our room downstairs and stuff. And like 3 o'clock in the morning, Johnny wake me up. I think my water break. Like, what? So I run upstairs and panics now stepping. I remember jumping in the car, and they help us in the car. And I drive so fast to Tampa, but I did my research too, because the doctor's ready to say time over. This is 6 months, right? And I say no. I say time not over. I say you're going to give I think it was magnesium or something like that to slow, right? And then we call the doctor who was dealing with us, and they came in, and so they calmed down everything, and they did a lot of scans and stuff for the next 2 days, and we're just in this hospital. And I remember just looking out that window and I praying and stuff, man. And it's like, I don't know what the outcome will be, right? And then the Thursday, they were born Thursday, December 3rd. And it was about 6 o'clock in the evening. And the doctor who they brought in was actually, I'm pretty sure she was like an intern. She like residency, you know? And I could see it on her face, boy. She was like, it ain't good. One of the twins, the blood flow was reversed, and it just became just Greek speaking to me at this point, right? And because you know it's not going to be good, but you're not sure what to do, right? And I called my friend Dr. Sayo Torreade, who was my friend from Barry. I was like, Sai, talk to this doctor. I gave you permission. I gave them permission. I was like, but I'm not understanding anything they're saying. And when they gave me back the phone, and I'm sure this was so hard for her to do, right, as a friend, right? She's like, Dennis, if you want to hold your kids alive and give them a chance, you had to deliver. And I trust her so much. I was like, she's delivering, you know? So we had to do emergency C-section. And Avery was a pound in weight.
Yeah.
And Braden was just under a pound. I mean, small, right? And I mean, picture you're watching a movie, and now them crash cards coming in and
Yeah.
NICU stuff, and it's just like a movie going on. And poor Joni is like sedated, pain meds,
Yeah.
and all this stuff. And I remember they had a NICU room set up, and they opened up the mirror so doctors could be running
Yeah.
back and forth, and I'm just standing up there, you know, and then the Braden lived for 5 hours, right?
It had to be hard, bro. And even to come here and talk about it.
People say with time it has passed, but it don't pass.
Yeah. It can't pass.
But them doctors were amazing.
Yeah.
They made sure they kept him alive enough for Joni to come and see him. I
So
remember-
she was able to get up
Yeah,
the
the-
dated.
Well, they brought in a wheelchair and stuff. And, you know, she get to hold him, stuff like that. And so, remember that this doctor that see him right now was holding him. Or I was holding him, or whoever, right? And wherever we went, he just squeezed in the oxygen. And this man do this for over an hour.
Yeah.
Enough time for my brother brought up my parents, for Joni's parents, and come with Elijah, and that for the when Braden was passing, the sister came too, and they just, and we were 3-4 hours away. So when we say we delivering, they started coming, and this man just stand up there, just keeping him alive, basically, right? And then hard part is when you had to say, well, it's okay to stop,
Yeah.
right?
And you all had to make that decision.
Yeah, we had to make a decision. Eventually, they would have had to stop because you can't just stand up there whole time forever,
But
right?
still.
So then, once that happened, the focus had to switch on Avery, right? So Avery survived 55 hours, right? And I remember it was real hope. It had real hope coming because he was responding good and stuff, but he's smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go and they let you put your hand in so you could touch and talk, and it sounds crazy, right? But when you in the moment now, you want to do anything for your child, right? And we would come in and spend time with him and go back to the room because Joni recovering stuff still, and she, you know, again, power to her with the strength she's showing, right? And I remember going and check on him, and the nurse and them say, "He's doing good." So I said, "Okay, I'll go back by Joni and tell her, let me clean up a little bit and we go and spend some time." And all of a sudden they come back in the room and they were just like, this is like 20 minutes from when I left. And they come back and they say, "We need you all over there now." And I don't know what is happening. But he went from here to here. And in just over 48 hours or less. We're going through the same thing. Right? And had to call parents again and everybody rushing up,
and this is Avery.
Yeah, this is Avery, right? So kept him alive again too, and it's just watching this lifeless, this infant, literally crashing in front of you, and you're dealing with it and stuff. So very real emotional, and the doctors, from what I saw, did all they could. They were doing everything, right? And then once we had to make the decision again that we can't continue, right? Then now we're planning a funeral, right? So December 2025 will be 10 years since all of this, right?
And it still hurts like it's...
Yeah, you remember that.
Right?
You remember it. Like I talking to you now, and I see myself in that room. That NICU room had the outside the room had the room number and turtles for that section, and then different sections. So I see in the hospital, I see in these things, right?
It's like a movie.
Yeah, it's like a movie. It just plays in your mind, right? And then, I share this story. I'm sure you've seen it. Like at least when they birthday comes around, like I would always post, and then the date of their burial, which was December 10th, I would always post a video that my sister-in-law made for us because she captured a lot of the moments in the NICU. She has it on YouTube still. And I would repost that video and I would repost the eulogy that I wrote. Right? And I know there's people out there that question why I still do it. And until you walk through those steps, you would never understand.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the things I vowed to do was to make sure people are aware of what TTTS is.
Yeah.
And so there's people I know have twins after me. And I would message them on the side and say, hey, congrats and stuff. And then I would just get serious and I'd be like, do yourself a favor and stay on top of it. Because sometimes if you could identify TTTS, for example, early enough, it could be a little bit more proactive or you monitor so much. Right? And there's a lot of survival stories out there, right? And they could be born with complications and stuff too. And so, I mean, as you would always question, well, why mine didn't make it, right? Well, God must be know. I might not have been able to deal with it.
Yeah. Do you ever question your faith?
I wouldn't say I question it. There's times you always be like, man, I wonder why my kids didn't make it, right? But I never would say God, or whatever you believe in was evil to me for taking them away, right? I believe things happen to me or happen to people in their life to carry a different message, right? And maybe that is what God wanted for us, to work on your faith, A, and B, to be the messenger, so that there's a bigger voice, because the TTTS Foundation is not very big. And really during the time people come across them, from what I've seen, is when they start to go through it.
Correct.
And now you're Googling and well, ChatGPT now, well, what is this and how do you deal with it and who can help and so on, right? So if you have time to and I haven't not really talked to them since, but if people have time to and interested in this, but the message I would say is, if you ever hear somebody having twins, not just identical twins, but twins, and any multiple pregnancy is a high risk, right? Just encourage people to stay on top of it, and I'm not trying to scare you and say, go and see, this might happen to you, but you need to be understanding of what could happen. You know, any pregnancy is high risk. Right.
So I mean, you've mentioned a couple of times how strong Joni was during the process. Did the process, do you think, bring you guys closer together, or how did that impact your relationship with her? Yeah,
well, definitely brought us closer together. You know, obviously there's frustrations and times where you want to just be like, it is at. As I said, you know, you remember the show Airplane with Leslie Nelson, when the plane and the woman was freaking, you just want to smack each other and be like, snap out of it. Like, that does, sometimes they feel like that, right? In the early parts. Now, not so much. But as I say, we celebrate our lost kids and stuff now, right? But I would say it brought us closer together.
Did you get to, as a man, do you feel that you got to grieve alone?
Yeah. So that's a real good point to bring up, because a lot of people will come to the man, right? And would say, Dennis, sorry for your loss, but you need to stay strong. You need to stay strong for your wife and for Elijah, and you need to stay strong. They weren't telling you to grieve, right? But that's the culture, right? And I remember when we were planning the funeral, and I wish I remember the guy's name now. I know he doesn't work there anymore, but me and him were alone at one point, and he said to me, he's like, hey, I just want to tell you one thing. Dads grieve too. Right? He said, don't let anybody tell you anything different. You need to grieve, and you need to find your time as well. And that stuck with all the arranging and trauma and stuff. Having to take care of my wife, who's still recovering from the C-section, and bring her to funeral. I remember that. And one of the things Joni says that she admires is that I show my vulnerability, and I'm not afraid to grieve, right? And I don't go and hide and grieve from her, right? If I feel to cry now, I cry now, right? If something reminds me of them and I bring it up and it cause crying, I'm very open to that. Where some men might go, I can't show my wife I cry, or my son, or my kids see me cry, and stuff like that. When we go to the cemetery to visit and stuff like that, we spend time with them. We take our kids, and we shed tears still 10 years later, right? My daughter, who came after, right, Adeline, it's weird because she talks about them because we don't hide them, but she talks about them like if she's met them. And that brings joy to us, and she always mentioned them and stuff like that. And funny enough, too, Adeline was supposed to be a twin. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't know that.
So again, going back to this.
That would have been real.
Yeah. So after, about 5 months after we lost the twins, technically the IVF guy could have asked for more money.
Yeah.
When we kept up with them and said, it wasn't successful, technically it was successful. He did his part, right? And you should have paid more. But he said, no, we're going again if you all want. And I'm not charging you, basically. Wow. So kudos to him, right? And then so we went back again. And lo and behold, it's saying twin. But it was looking like twin and possibly a triplet. That's how it was looking. So we like this. But what was actually happening was the second baby wasn't actually developing properly. So it was looking like an egg yolk going to the side. So then everything was going okay. And then between the 9th and the 11th week or somewhere around there, Joni, she sees some spotting. So we called the OB. And when we went in, they couldn't find a heartbeat. And that's how we know. And so it was an ectopic. No, it was... We lost that twin, right? Ectopic is our next conversation. But so we went and monitored Adeline for a long time after, like very early on and stuff. And Adeline obviously came and brought that joy, and you just call her rainbow baby and stuff like that. But she knows she was supposed to be a twin too.
Oh wow!
She proclaimed as a girl, so we just leave it as that, right? It was too early for us to tell. And then after that, a year after or so, Joni actually got naturally pregnant. But it became an ectopic pregnancy.
Okay.
Right? So that's dangerous for the woman and stuff like that. So they had to remove all the tubes. So it's like we've gone through all these different losses, and there's people who have reached out to me on the side going through some journeys too. They can't have kids and stuff like that, or they want to do IVF, and they will ask me on the side. So I think, again, as they ask about the fate or and stuff, it's a reason we're in this position, and it's to share. Yeah. Right? And I'm not embarrassed about it. Yeah. Right? I'm not looking for pity from it. Yeah. Right? But I want to make sure people are educated and know there's hope for stuff, and it's okay. And there was an old college friend of mine, we used to call him Bear. He sent me a message at the time saying, boy, you beating the statistic, most parents that experience a child loss. Divorce. Yeah. Right?
I thought ask how if it brought you closer together, because that kind of challenge, if you're not, I couldn't tell you, because like even in my situation, Jax, when we had Jax and we took Jax home from the hospital, we had to take him back. He had I think it's called bilirubin. Okay. And we had to take him back to the hospital, and he went into the NICU. Right. And he was in there for a few weeks. And to leave the hospital with your child and think everything okay, and you're home, and it was just like something's not right. Right. And had to rush back to the hospital only to not leave the hospital with your child. Yeah. It was, so to not that it is on the same level of what you went through, but just that emotional trauma that you experience. Like, I had to be there for his mom during those times. Right. And, thinking about it, did I ever get to really sit down and absorb, what was happening at that time? Or because she didn't leave the hospital. She refused to leave the hospital. She stayed there for the weeks.
But that is a mother's instinct to say, right? And but again, even now that, you have Jack and he's healthy and he's there now too, sometimes life goes on and then you forget about that.
Correct.
But
that is true.
Don't forget about it
Yeah.
because that's a gift
Correct.
you have, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes when I get frustrated with my kids, even Elijah, because he wasn't a baby when I met him, but he's mine. Right?
Yeah.
So if I get frustrated with my kids, I try to remember what I don't have anymore to it and try. It's hard
Yeah.
because you have to discipline. You have to not always just give them what they want and stuff, but just remember life precious
Mhm.
at the same time. So it's hard, but remember that too because you don't know what you could have not had,
Yeah.
right? And so on. So yeah.
Well, we spoke about a lot about loss,
Mhm.
and you just recently lost your dad.
Yeah.
How has that loss been different to your previous losses in terms of maybe support?
Yeah. So that was a shock that happened. Every year as they get older, you wonder if this is the year. But how everything kind of went down was quick. It's a shock. It happened 10 days before my birthday. So my birthday was real tough.
Mm.
Sitting down there waiting for the phone to ring and stuff like that. So she's still dealing with it. Mom now we had to she can't stay by herself, and so we have a kid home for her and stuff like that. So, but she now the while you're dealing with that trauma of you're not hearing your dad's voice again, you have to study how mommy doing.
Yeah.
And you don't live in the same country, right? So, doing our best to focus on her too now,
Yeah.
and making sure she is comfortable as she can be, right? But
While still grieving the loss.
while still grieving with the loss of dad, right? And so I've made a couple of trips back home to see mom to take care of some stuff and so on. But again, I don't know if it's because I went through it with my kids,
Yeah.
right? And I've also lost some close friends and stuff like that maybe I deal with it a little bit different than the most, right? But I find joy in remembering the times, right?
Yeah.
Remembering
Reflecting on those good
how
good
hard
days.
they try, to make better life for us, right? And then I thought going through this stuff at home would have been harder, but I actually found some comfort in that, right? I'll show it to you one day, but I found a black and white picture of my dad sitting down on a original Carib case, right? Like every Chinese person in Trinidad, right?
We're gonna beep that out.
I'll be a case. Sorry. But he said on his dad, his parents had a shop, right? Like most Chinese people in Trinidad, right? They started off with a shop back in the day, right? So but he's sitting on this thing, and the man, how he sit down, I said, that is me in print there, right? So I never knew that picture was there. Digging up, I find once that picture. If you see pictures I bring back now, so I found joy in that part, right? A little bit of comfort, closure, and so on. But again, I feel like I'm dealing with it much better. Obviously, leading up to the funeral, the day of the funeral and stuff was really, really hard. Spending that first birthday, especially since it was so close, not getting that phone call. My mom was such in a trance too. I didn't even hear from my mom that day.
Things were different immediately.
It was different, right? And it was a subtle birthday. But again, going through what I've gone through in the past, I think has helped me deal with stuff better.
Do you think that a lot of men walk around grieving silently?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, and I think it's hard for them to feel like it's okay to talk to somebody, even to their good friends, other male friends especially, right? Because, you're afraid they look like a sissy.
Yeah.
Right? And then obviously in our culture too, everything is a joke or old talk,
correct,
as we say, right? So I think a lot of people hold that back, or they may not share it unless they know you had a similar story.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't share enough that we don't even know we have similar stories, right? So
what would you say to those guys who walking around grieving silently and he feels that like no one sees their pain?
you need to you need to find somebody you could at least confide in, or a couple of people, and share that, and don't be afraid to share, right? Because when we leave that inside of us, it's only a matter of time before you break. Pressure is bust pipe, right? As we say, right? So again, some people can go the whole lifetime without letting that pressure burst their pipe. But mentally and so on, for you, that's not really good. Right? Because you don't realize it bothering you because you bury it so deep. But your actions actually affecting others around, and you may not realize it. There's times I come home like this, with my dad's situation just now, and dealing with stuff. Some things happening, and I know subconsciously bothering me, and then all of a sudden I realize I shouted at my daughter, and I didn't need to shout at my daughter. I didn't need to give my wife attitude. I didn't need to give my son a hard time, right? And it's because I let something bother me, and I'm not talking about it. So then you have to be careful with that. So don't be afraid to find somebody you could confide in. And hopefully the person you choose to confide in will be open to that.
Okay.
Right?
So one word to define your journey so far.
One word. I would still say it's fun.
Fun.
Yeah, I'd still say it's fun, no matter what I went through. Fun.
What would you say is the one thing most misunderstood about men?
That we must be the rock. You have to be the macho man.
Yeah.
Right? And you must do everything. And men we put that on ourselves too, because that's what was ingrained in us. So sometimes, when my wife and I have a disagreement, one of the things she would say is, you're always trying to fix it.
Yeah.
Right? And so I need to still work on that. Right? But that's a nature. So,
by nature.
Again, stop trying to fix everything at the same time, but maybe sometimes see how it could get fixed on its own.
If you had a chance to whisper to your younger self, what would those words sound like?
To be honest, I don't think I would whisper anything different. Not that my life is perfect, but things that were good choices and bad choices that I made in my life so far is a learning.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't think I'll whisper anything different, to be honest. And again, my life is not perfect.
Yeah.
I didn't have a straight journey, right?
No, well, by no means.
Right. So, but I would do it over again.
What's the most defining moment for you as a father?
When I get married, because I went into fatherhood right away.
Yeah.
So
instant
right?
dad.
Yeah, it's instant dad, right?
Yeah.
So that might sound as a surprise for people, but again, when I committed to marry Joni, knowing she had a son,
that's huge.
That's huge, right? So to me, that was the most defining moment. Unlike traditionally, somebody go and marry, they enjoy a honeymoon period, they have a kid, that's a defining moment, right? But I had to step up to also be a role model for somebody who's not mine, right?
And what does it mean to be a man who feels?
What does it mean to be a man who feels? You're getting deep by yourself. I mean, there's just being really a human, being able to show both sides, your strong side, your soft side, and to being able to share that, especially share that with my loved ones, not just my wife. I'm talking about my kids, right? And people who care about you. It could be you. Hey, I feel, right? There's times we call each other and check in on each other, right? So, and that is important for men. Men don't like to do that.
Yeah.
I feel men think it go look kind of funny if I call and say, hey, so how you doing? No, I seriously mean, how you doing? I want to check it out. We need to be each other's accountability partners as well.
Facts.
So, yeah.
Now, you mentioned that the twins would be 10 in December, right? If you had a moment with them right now, because that's a significant age, what would you tell them?
I mean, you're proud of them or whatever they were doing.
Think they'll be playing soccer?
Yeah. Yeah, they might have been forced up, but Nah, I've been proud of them. Often I think about what they would be like now if they had been healthy and stuff like that. But, if everything was good, the sky's the limit. Opportunities are there once they put your mind to it. And whatever they choose to do, we support it.
And for you as a stepdad, your son,
Yeah.
what is one thing you want him to know?
That although we're not blood, my love is unconditional. And I want the best for him that I would want for Adeline as well. And I think he has a world of potential. He just needs to unearth it more.
Yeah. He's going to get there. He's a good kid.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He has talent. And there's so much opportunity now for these kids when it comes to soccer in America. And
he's good.
Yeah, he could be better. He good. But again, it's like believing in yourself. I want him to believe in himself more. And put his mind to whatever he wants. And whether it's soccer, whether it's to be a fireman or whatever, electrician, it don't matter to me. Whatever path you choose, we will support once it's on the right path, right? Nothing illegal and stuff like that, obviously, right? But no, that's what I want him to know, that I am here for him.
And to wrap up, I want you to finish this sentence for me, right? I survived because of the support system I had around me, or have around me, from my immediate family, parents, my in-laws, but really and truly, the friends too. For friends was a big part, especially through the trauma time, right? And then the faith that I've developed, right? Most of us would have gone away. Not a lot of people know this. It was about 3 years ago I got baptized, and I'm not perfect, right? But I try to live the right way and do the right things and put God first, and that is what I think keeps me going and keeps me trying to become a better person and be a good role model for the people I could influence. Okay. Woo. Boy, well, that's it for today's episode of the Strip Club. Big thanks to Dennis for sharing his journey, his perspective, and thank you for listening in, people. I hope you got something from this one. And if you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, leave a review. It really helps us grow the community and touch other brothers. So remember, the conversations, it doesn't stop here. I want you guys to stay real, stay true, and above all, as we always end, stay stripped.